Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and of course it is the first Friday of the month, so we will be going over the new Gems of War Mythic of the Ghost King Grimhorn. So this thing is decent. It has a true damage into a Doomskull convert, with its most notable aspect being that it gains Doomstorm every single time it takes extra turn. The main caveat on this that makes it a little bit less useful is that Doomstorm does not create as many skulls as a normal Skullstorm. A Doomstorm was actually nerfed twice in its history due to how strong it was when it initially came out. Initially, it was stacking its effect with skulls, which made it create even more than a Skullstorm. Then they nerfed it down to creating as many as a Skullstorm, and even that was too much, so they eventually ended up nerfing it down to be less than a Skullstorm, basically meaning that if you create a standard Skullstorm, a normal one, not an Uber or a Doomstorm like he has, the Doomstorm one, if you just create a simply normal one, you will get more skulls onto the board than the other two. This has made both Doomstorm and Uber Doomstorm a lot more situational as far as when you end up bringing it out, so that is one thing to consider if going for this troop for like a super skull-oriented team, in that you might actually be better off just going with a normal Skullstorm-oriented storm compared to Doomstorm, but it is still very helpful on a Skullstorm team. Definitely better to, or Skull Spam team. It is definitely better to have a form of Skullstorm than none at all, so he could definitely end up filling that gap, as not that many things do have access to such a thing while also creating a lot of skulls. Anyways, if you want to get him, he's in the Glory Gem Guild and VIP chest drop table, and we're going to be getting around to getting them. As far as the troop itself, it is double true damage to the first two enemies. This is somewhat similar to the one from his already existing kingdom, in that it does to the two strongest enemies, except it does standard damage instead of this guy's true damage. He also then gets to convert all yellow gems into Doomskulls, very similar to the other thing from its own kingdom that converts blue into those same Doomskulls. Of course, Doomskulls, for any of you that don't know, is basically like a normal skull with two caveats. It deals 5 additional damage if destroyed or simply matched with other skulls per every single skull. It also ends up exploding every single gem around it for 50% of its mana accumulation. So this can be pretty useful for gaining just overall more mana for board clear, to be able to get even more skulls onto the board, because of course, as we mentioned, his biggest gimmick by far is his final trait, which conjures a Doomstorm when matching for an extra turn, being among one of the absolute easiest ways to get a Doomstorm specifically onto the board. So very interesting to see how he ends up panning out. He has a lot of potential within his own kingdom, within Undead, within Dwarf, so all the categories that, you know, you'd be restricted to in the current state of the game, he will probably find his way into a lot of those teams. Like, you run Drogzoom, under Spire, you're going to probably be using him. You do like Undead for PvP, if it ever comes to that, you might end up incorporating him, and Dwarf, probably not as much. He doesn't have as big of a Dwarf synergy. However, Dwarf synergy within his own kingdom could maybe end up working out pretty well. Of course, there's also 50% mana start to Dwarf, as there is for Undead, so he does have that going for him on both fronts. Overall, I would say this is a pretty mid-range mythic that you're pretty much only bringing out as a alternative Skull Spammer when you want to fill out the Storm aspect. When your Skull Spam team currently doesn't have a Storm, and you want something that still has Skull Spam while still having a Storm to go with it. So in those kind of situations, he might find his way into a couple teams here and there, but Skull meta has pretty much not existed for a while. Skull Spam teams have not been... Wow. Why? Why on the bad mythic? No, it's not bad. It's it's a issue that a lot of troops have in this game. He's not bad, but he's in that weird in-between where he's decent, but he's not going to be used in every team you use. You know, he's not Takshaka, he's not Stellurix. Compared to the meta, you're very rarely using him, but he's definitely going to find his way into Skull Spam teams, Drogzoom teams, Undead teams, and potentially even Dwarf teams. And why on earth do we just get 2 within 200? Of course, he is about a 1 in 1,000 chance. It's just when you're comparing him to true damagers, for example, if you're on PC Mobile this week, he just does not compare. If you just go, it is Vault Weekend this weekend. Actually, Vault Weekend like almost every weekend, like every other weekend for the next month or so, we have Vault Event Weekend. But anyways, if you compare him to the true damage side, like Tesla, that's for 800 diamonds on PC Mobile this week, for whatever reason, whatever change it did to consoles, console players do not have this right now, but PC Mobile you do, console players, you'll probably see it soon if you didn't already see it in the last couple weeks, the Tesla. But anyways, if you just compare it to this, this just is so much more damage, which is 3-to-1 boost ratio based on all enemy armor, as well as your own. When you compare it to stuff like this, he does absolutely nothing on the true damage front, but when you compare him to the Skull team front, he has a lot of potential, and that's pretty much every single team that we're going to be showing him right now is basically all of the skull-oriented ones. So let's go and get our 2 mythics, I guess, upgraded. Keep in mind, it could easily take 1,000 plus gem keys, seal keys, stuff like that, 10,000 plus glory keys on average or so. However, oh, so why am I doing these? Let me go use the orbs. However, we got absurdly lucky getting a double right there. Of course, we would get the double of the mythic that you really never need double of. You're never using more than one of him on a team, whereas there's a good handful of mythics where, you know, it is beneficial if you had more of them onto your team. And, oh gosh, I already forgot his name. Oh no, wait. wait. We can get him. We can get to him. Why am I click control? I meant to do base Rarity. No, I want to do all color. There he is. Ghost King Grimhorn. All right, let's go get him into the teams. All right, should we go build a double now? No. He's completely redundant since he counters out himself. He would never want to use double onto a team. And of course, his final trait does not stack. So it is completely pointless to have more than one. So of course, this is the mythic we get double of. Anyways, let's go show all the teams. All of which will be in the description below if you want to go and utilize any of them. So let's just go over to the good old Explore. Why do I always pick the place with armor? Let me get it like Golvania or something. Of course, since we're going pretty skull-oriented, we do not necessarily want to go against armor. We do have stun on one of these teams, I believe on the lowest rarity team, oddly enough, though you could put on this too if you want to put like an elementalist onto it. I went down the mech route so we'd start a little bit quicker, have dispel, stuff like that, but of course, you can go something that has stun, most notably, of course, elementalist. Well, I'll just go in this a little bit quicker. Mechanist is 50% mana start. Of course, no other mechs to get 50% mana start too, which is a nice all-around class. Has a dispel to get rid of barrier, submerge, even though this team does not necessarily need to get rid of submerge, it does need to get rid of barrier, as it doesn't really have a particularly good way of doing so. And of course, this is a pretty standard wand team, using a Leprechaun Wand to get our starting mana, and kind of go crazy from there. You'll notice the core of our team, of course, is Lord of Slaughter into Ghost King Grimhorn. They are both fortunately and unfortunately the exact same color. In the current state of the game, like in the past, I would say this is probably a bad thing, but in the current state of the game with how mana accumulation works, having two things that fully mana block each other isn't necessarily a bad thing. We've been getting a lot of game modes recently, of course, that are very color restricted, as far as like use blue team, use dwarf team, use, you know, whatever like that. And having two troops that synergize really well together that have triple color synergy is more of a good thing than a bad thing these days. Of course, the biggest synergy here is Lord of Slaughter is the only troop in the entire game that has a 100% chance to ignore armor, basically meaning he does true damage with every skull he does, assuming he is not skulled. Not stunned. However, that's why we have Bless off of Wand to make sure that he's doesn't end up getting stunned, so that he can always do his 100% extra armor piercing. He also gets to start with Doomstorm, so if you don't get an extra turn initially, you're going to have that Doomstorm already without even needing the extra turn off of him. So when you do your first Leprechaun, you're already going to have Doomstorm ready to go, and then every extra turn after, which shouldn't take long at all, which we already got, of course, you'll just get your Doomstorm ready to go again. And you basically just have perpetual Doomstorm with this team, so really good synergy there. On top of that, of course, the true damage synergy with the true damage synergy, and of course they both have a convert. Lord of Slaughter's being a bit better, however they do both have a convert, one into brown while also creating more brown, and one into yellow. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do this, ideally get all of his mana up. We did get a little bit short, but that's what Wand is for, do all of our mana accumulation. Hopefully that'll be enough, a little short again, but of course we can just Lord of Slaughter again, hope that's enough mana. He does end up missing. If that does go down, Hero will be perfectly fine to tank on his own. And of course now we have the yellow convert. Unfortunately, we don't seem to have alignment here. One thing that you can do, of course, which we aren't going to be able to do now, but hopefully we can show in a little bit, is you can utilize his true damage in order to kill out the enemy. Wait, do we have enough? No. Wait, what's his boost ratio on again? Convert all yellow gems to doom skulls to boost the effect. So yeah, the true damage that he has is boosted by the amount that he converts at 2 times. So right now we're converting away 9, as you can see there, so we gain 18 additional damage, which would bring our damage up to 79. If this was enough to kill him, what we could end up doing is casting this. That would kill him out, and then our skulls would kill out the next in line. Unfortunately, though, he has just ever so slightly too much durability, so we're going to have to cycle back one last time. Oh wait, we could have done it there. Oh well, no! We will get that down at some point in the stream. Also, I mean, during this video. But we'll take that out. Unfortunately, lost our little guy there because I did see we did have alignment. But let's go for the skull there and be good to go. Alright, on to the next fight then. We are running a 4 times Undead team. Of course, there are a lot of restrictions you can do them for as far as the 4 times of the 3 colors, Undead and Dwarf. But I do feel like, aside from the standard 3 colors, Undead, like compared to Undead or Dwarf, I do feel like his Undead synergy is a little bit better than his Dwarf synergy, or compared to his Drakzoom synergy. While in Drakzoom restrictions, you are almost always going to be using him, especially if you're lacking some of the other options. And similarly for Undead, you will also be able to do so. I just feel like he gets a little bit better value from Undead compared to his other things. And Dwarf probably already has enough and enough of a synergy where you're probably not going to be incorporating him to those kind of teams, but of course is also an angle that you can still end up doing with him. So we're going to go for Wand here, kind of get things going. We're just using this purely as a tank to give our 50% mana star so we can get everything going. Of course, one fun thing that we have here is good old Ossifer. Pretty easy to get. The PvP season is ending in a couple days, so if you're watching this right now, last few days to finish out the first PvP season of Gems of War. However, this Monday we're going to be getting season 2, so if you haven't gone Immortal Ossifer, you'll be able to get ton more burning marks as soon as Monday hits, as we will have a reset to the event, which will be able to go get all of the rewards on the season pass once again, or the PvP pass, whatever you want to call it, whatever they're calling it these days. But of course, he gets to convert all gems of a chosen color into Doom Skull, which will synergize with our already existing Doom Skull mechanic, and on top of that also has Curse Stun, so we're not even going to need to worry about skull reduction or anything like that. So of course, we're just going to use this, hopefully have yellow alignment after. Actually, we already have yellow alignment now. Unfortunately, not for the quick kill there, but we will be able to go get everything else back up. Hopefully get enough mana when we end up casting an Ossifer here, and kind of just go from there. Go for a nice Ossifer there. Can we end up getting kill range? Come on, I want to see it. Let's see. We don't have alignment. You know what? I think I'm just going to move him into range. Wait. No. Wait. I'm going to deliberately move him into range just so we can get it. Come on, yellow alignment. Okay, we got it. So I don't think it's enough to kill him, but we're still going to go for it. So of course, currently he has 8 HP, which is very much in our kill range. So what we're going to do now, if we end up casting this, is all the skulls we get right here will end up hitting the next in line. So the true damage will take place first, and then the skulls will hit onto the next unit. And as you can see, we kill both of them. The first one with the true damage, and then all the skulls pile on the next in line. So that's the main gimmick of his double hit. There's a few other things that do this, like Sakima and such, but yeah, he's one of the few mythics that ends up doing this, so pretty useful. You basically want to ideally cast him when either when you have yellow skull alignment or exactly what you saw there. Not necessarily yellow skull alignment as far as extra turn, but when you can end up getting a free kill by doing true damage for one and then skulls onto the other, essentially getting a double kill with one cast, and if you can do that twice, boom, there goes the whole team. Anyways, let's go into the low rarity team. For this, we're using a pretty standard Mang build, so if you can get this in early game, he's probably going to be among one of your better skull spammers, aside from Ossifer, though of course you could also incorporate Ossifer if you get him early in the next PvP season or already have him laying around. He's pretty easy to get from PvP, so definitely pretty advisable. Unfortunately, we are using a one color mana accumulator here, unlike one that uses everything, so we do have to wait until we get green. Because of that, we're just going to go get a Mang down. You always want to ideally get one Mang before you start skull spamming with it anyway, so it kind of works out. We are using a barrier on brown hero class right now, particularly elementals, just really tanky. A little bit of a slower start as far as the hero class is concerned, but in early game, you definitely want to make sure you have the extra durability to make sure you don't die. At some point, we will get a green gem. Let's go grab our green gem so we can start playing the game. Just so we might have a little bit lower attack in early game, I'm actually going to go for a Mang here. Our hero is getting a little bit dangerous as far as HP, but in early game, that tends to be your state always, so you always want to be going and prioritizing those brown takes whenever you can. Just don't end up dying here. We should be good to go. Just keep hero alive so we have the really high amount of skull damage. And now basically we just keep box striding until we have yellow alignment. We just keep doing this over and over and over again until we have an extra turn off of or yellow alignment, like right there if he doesn't ruin it. No, don't ruin it. Don't do it. No. Why would you do such a thing? All right. Can we get it again? We are using a single skull spam team here. Putting an Ossifer in here would diversify it quite a bit. I just didn't want to show a double Ossifer team, of course, since we already showed it with the previous higher rarity one there, though he can also very much be a lower rarity option. We finally do have our alignment, and as you can see there, we got the double kill we were talking about earlier. Very nice. If you just do that twice, that is a battle won. And as Mang does, it just absolutely tears through everything. Doesn't even necessarily need that extra skull damage, or the extra Doom Skull damage. The standard damage of Mang, once you get it down twice, is already enough to nearly one-shot every single enemy, especially if they're stunned, which we did with Elementalist, another synergy that ends up getting, aside from its freeze, everything else that it has. Of course, it's stun to get rid of any kind of skull reduction that they may have, skull dodge, everything like that is very, very useful. So anyways, guys, that is the rundown on the new Mythic. Overall, yeah, he's in the middle range, ever so slightly above middle range. You're definitely going to use him for Drakzoom events. You might end up utilizing him for Undead and Dwarf. He could potentially be incorporated into Yellow, Red, Green, but it seems like Drakzoom, Undead, and occasionally Dwarf are going to be his main restrictions. You're pretty much never really going to be using him onto a standard team, though, unfortunately. Normal Skullstorm is just better than Doomstorm overall, so anytime we get better options for that in the future, as well as just existing options that exist, are generally going to end up being slightly better than him in most team compositions. positions. He definitely has that like double kill potential where you cast once, win. But of course, given that he is a single convert, unlike things like Ossifer, while having no extra gem creation, like things like Lord of Slaughter, does make him a bit more situational when he can end up coming out. But definitely keep an eye on him. Definitely things that can be incorporated into various skull spam teams. And as skulls get better, as right now we are currently in an extremely spell-oriented meta and have been for quite a while. Not just Stellarix, but a lot of things have caused that as far as extra mana accumulation and everything else. So skulls just haven't been as good lately, but he definitely find his way into various teams going forward. So definitely a trip to keep an eye on, but I would say he's pretty mid-range. Definitely a skippable mythic, especially if you're missing everything from Droxzoom. You might as well just event key for it later. Actually, what is the other mythic from Droxzoom? Let me just double check real quick. If you were to wait and just go all in on Droxzoom event key, assuming you have 0 mythics here. It would help if I do it by base rarity, not just show all. Oh, his competition is Obsidius and Fallen Valdus. One is one of the worst mythics in the entire game, and Obsidius, while having 4x stun, is a little obsolete these days. While 4x stun is still really good, his ability is kind of meh, and there's just so many other ways to stun, most notably elementals. So yeah, I guess going for him is fine then, because the other mythics here are pretty bad, and he's the best mythic here. Well, not counting the Celestial Dragon, but or Gem Dragon, I mean, it doesn't count. But of the ones that are actually in like event key drop people, if you wait till next Droxzoom event, he's the strongest one here. So you know what? Yeah, that does make him a little bit more enticing to go for. Because if you were to have any one of these mythics, you would definitely want to have either Ghost King Grimhorn or Obsidius. But given that you're likely just already have a max Elementalist anyways, yeah, he's the best one here. So yeah, I guess yeah, event key for him. I mean, sorry, don't use event keys this week, but Glory Gem Guild and VIP chest for him, so you don't have to event key for him later is what I meant to say. So, yeah, he'll be available in Glory Gem Guild and VIP chest for next week only, and then will be in the drop table to everything else, and next Droxzoom event, he should be in event keys if you do want to go for him that way, and of course, several months from now, he will be in Soulforge as well if you want to get him for diamonds, though he's pretty low priority compared to be able to craft any mythic in the game. Anyways, guys, let's run down on everything. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave in the comment section below. If you want to copy-paste any of the teams that we just showed, they are all available in the description and pinned comment. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Best of luck on the Vault event weekend, as we do have that going on right now. And best of luck if you're going to be trying for the new mythic as well. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching.